Skip in California. Skip, you're on the line.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to call in with a field report of what I've been up to. I know one of the big issues right now seems to be the illegal immigration issue and this movie Machete coming out.
All right, so hold on, Skip. We're going to come back to you. We'll talk about the immigration issue. We'll talk about Machete Cortez and his upcoming feature and much, much more. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas, PrisonPlanet.tv, InfoWars.com. We were talking tech a moment ago, but we're on the line with Skip in California, and he wants to talk about Machete and the immigration issue and maybe this undocumented student's arrest. Again, this is a young girl, 21 years of age, who's in Georgia and is enrolled in college, and now they're going to try to deport her. And instead about making it a high-profile issue on somebody who's a criminal or someone who is collecting social services 3 times over, someone who really is a dreg of society, they're going after someone who is trying to improve their position in society, improve their social standing, and become a part of this great country, and using that to divide us. Go ahead, Skip.
Basically, I wanted to tell you what my approach to dealing with the issue is.
Mm-hmm.
Where I work, there's a lot of guys that are Mexican, basically, and they're all good guys, but they kind of, I guess, have a misunderstanding about what the Patriot movement is.
Mm-hmm.
They all seem to be suspicious of 9/11. What I decided to do was just start, getting pocket constitutions and explaining to a lot of these guys, over here, if you look at the First Amendment, it says you have the right to free speech. You can say anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you do that in Mexico? They say, well, you can say anything you want, but you'll get shot if they don't like what you say. So I've also started passing out the DVDs, and I've gotten a lot of these guys to listen to the Alex Jones show.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting thing is, when they first hear his show, they ask me, is this guy racist? Why are you telling me to listen to it? I just, answer questions and get them to keep listening to it and show them DVDs. And I'm like, how can just give it a chance and check it out? And, I'm not here supporting Bush when Bush was in office. We're not here supporting Obama. We're pointing out that they're all bad. You got a lot of things up here you don't get in Mexico. Wouldn't it be a better idea to import these ideas down there rather than take the problems that you had in Mexico that you left there for and bring those up here?
Mm-hmm.
So this seems to be working because I'm taking the time. A lot of these guys will give them rides home after work,
Mm-hmm.
show them that I'm a friend, and they're becoming receptive to it.
Well, that's good, Skip. You are being a proactive info warrior, and you're doing what I think is a good thing, reaching out to those who may misunderstand what this movement is about and what we're really trying to do. And by giving them multitudes of video, whether it be Loose Change Final Cut or Endgame or Invisible Empire or now Don't Tread on Me and Fall of the Republic, you can open those minds. If they can understand that if they speak out the same in this country as they would in Mexico, and in Mexico they would be shot for doing so, obviously they can be reached. Not everybody has to be divided. Hell, if I was Mexican and living on the border, I would have done the same thing and jumped that border because, let's face it, it's better here. Appreciate the call, Skip. Let's go to, I believe it's Kyle in California. Kyle, you're online.
Hey, Jason. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kylo. I'm out here in California, and kind of segueing what the last caller said.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to share an approach that I've been that's been effective for me using the iPhone app that you guys put out. By the way, awesome. Whoever did that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in the supermarket or if I'm walking the dog or standing in line or something like at a concert or a show or something, I'll just put it in my front shirt pocket on the speaker. It's not obnoxiously loud or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone close by, they can hear if they choose to, if they hone in on it. And a lot of times there's topics that catch people's interest. And then a lot of times they wind up coming towards me and asking, whereas, just if a lot of times people get thrown out because there's always people handing out stuff and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's kind of put off by that. But I've been using that, and then if what I'm planning.
What
to
you're
do
doing,
next week
Kylo, is you're bringing a captive audience to you, and then on your terms, you're able to talk about the information other than trying to push it on somebody that may not want to listen in the first place. You're waiting for somebody to react to the information that's being broadcast through your iPhone. It's ingenious.
And it's just really simple. You know, I mean, it takes a little bit of the battery or whatever, but what I want to do next week is just be prepared with, like, the DVDs and stuff. If someone puts up an issue, just like, say, they're talking about the Federal Reserve or they're talking about Obama or something, you know, and someone hits about it and be like, here you go.
Here's the Obama deception. Here's America freedom to fascism. Please take a look at this. Yes, that's what we need to do, and that's why I carry my information now on the iPhone. That's why all 3 of my movies are on my iPhone, so that I can point out, hey, this is information I've researched. I've delved into this. This is a reality. You can see it for yourself, and you captivate that person for 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes of their time. You hand them a 2-hour documentary. They go home. Their mind is blown. Their life is changed, and they are ready to take to the battlefields of the InfoWar. We'll be back after this with more news, taking your calls, 888-201-2244. It's the InfoWarrior. Folks, we are back. I'm going to continue to take your calls, 888-201-2244, but I want to hit up some big news, and this one's important. This one's flying under the radar. We all know that a lot of these big tax-exempt foundations are really set up by the elite. What for? For globalization, for consolidation of power, for mind control. The main organizations out there. Look at the ones that ripped off the first responders, that ripped off the 9/11 victims, like Red Cross. Oh, American Red Cross. Oh, you're so good. No, you stole millions and millions of dollars from those who needed it most. And a lot of these tax-exempt foundations are what? They're scams. They don't help you or I. But a lot of the smaller ones do. In fact, the majority of the smaller ones are the ones that give that grant to your kid to go to a certain college because they did well in school. They keep that nice historical society running. They actually do things. Well, guess what? They're not going to be tax exempt anymore. Thousands of nonprofits may lose tax exempt status. And what is this? A consolidation of power. It's reworking the system so there are no longer any good little charities out there. So it is all run by the globalists. Get this. More than 200,000 small nonprofits across the nation are days away from losing their tax-exempt status because they haven't filed a new form with the Internal Revenue Services. The nonprofits in our backyards, some of them are going to be gone, says Suzanne Kaufman, a spokeswoman for GuideStar, which tracks data on nonprofits. It's most likely the nonprofits aren't aware of the Monday deadline that only applies to groups that report $25,000 or less in income, excluding churches. So again, when you go to a small high school like I did, I graduated with about 54 kids, and there's a small organization, and they give you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a year to go to some school like that. There's a good chance they don't make more than $25,000 in donations. Gone. See ya. Out of here. You have to go to the Ford Foundation. You have to go to the Carnegies. You have to go to the Rockefeller-run foundations, the Rothschilds. They don't want the ma and pop shops out there that can actually help people. Those organizations may not find out until January 1st, 2011, when they're notified they have to pay taxes on donations they thought were exempt. Oh, you're paying taxes on donations for students, for real charitable organizations. Do you see how sick this is? And it could be months before the nonprofit status is restored. The document required by Congress is called 990-N. So if you are a small nonprofit, if you know someone who runs a small nonprofit, the time to call is now, because I believe tomorrow is the deadline. Again, tomorrow is the deadline to file this 990-N. They estimated on Friday that 214,000 nonprofit organizations haven't filed the form as required. So almost 250,000 nonprofits are about to go under because of some ridiculous paperwork that, again, is set up to exclude them. That's what it's there for. In Iowa, the Warren County Historical Society was among more than 2,700 small nonprofits that hadn't submitted the form. The group's president, Linda Beatty, said she'd never heard of it or the 990N until contacted by the Associated Press that did this article. Stephen Baldassar, president of the Catwalk Theater Guild in Arvada, Colorado, said loss of its tax exemption would have endangered the college scholarships his group awards annually to 2 high school students and limited other programs. It's huge giving those scholarships, he said. We'd also have to figure out how to do the rest of the functions we do. We would have to change how we bring in money. So a heads up there. And Bill Clinton is out on the warpath. He is giving all these speeches, and what's he saying? Think globally. Think globally. It's about globalization. It's about the New World Order. And we have Clinton in Invisible Empire talking about that New World Order not once but twice. Former President Bill Clinton exhorted 650 of the country's youngest entrepreneurs to look beyond their business ambitions and use their positions to benefit the less fortunate worldwide. It's about a redistribution of wealth, turning the United States into a second world nation instead of a first world nation.